Hi, I'm Lexington Koeck, and I'm going to be giving the final ice cream sales forecast for the Buckhorn Drive-In in Summerhill, PA. While forecasting for an ice cream stand may be difficult, it's easier if we break it down into table of contents. First, we're going to show you each month's forecast, the forecasting methods that I used, the chosen method that I felt was best, the effects from the location, which is in Summerhill, Pennsylvania, the changes in forecast, so this would be the nicer months, so which would be summer, and then the colder months, which would be winter, and then my accuracy of the forecast that I chose. You may ask yourself, why is forecasting important for the Buckhorn? Well, forecasting really matters for the Buckhorn because it helps us keep customers happy. If we don't have enough ice cream on hand, especially on those crazy hot days, people get frustrated and we lose business. Second, it helps us avoid waste. Ice cream doesn't last forever, so having too much means we're literally throwing money away. If we don't have enough, we're also losing business because these customers will go somewhere else that have the ice cream that we do not. And finally, with good forecasting, it gives us a head start for next year. If we know what sold well this season, we can plan smarter and be even more prepared when summer comes around again next year. Now for the winter months, we don't ever want to overbuy because that would bring in we're throwing money away. So it's important that we're paying attention to each little detail in every sale that we have per month. I'm now going to break down each month and the sales for 2022, forecasting off of the data from 2021. These were methods used was the moving average, the naive forecast, and the cumulative mean. So for January, we're forecasting $3,050 of ice cream sales. For February, we're forecasting $2,800. March, we're going to forecast $3,105. For April, we're forecasting $3,765. For May, we're starting to see an increase in weather based off last year's data, so we're going to forecast 4,230 sales of ice cream. June's the same thing, 5,680. July is going to be 7,255. August is 9,270, while September is going to be one of the hottest months. It's going to be 9,980 sales of ice cream. Now we're going to see a slight decrease due to the colder weather coming. So October is going to be 8,560 in forecasting sales for 2022. November is 7,390. And December's forecasting sales is going to be 4,460. For my final forecasting method, I chose moving average. I decided to go with the moving average method. I felt this made the most sense because it is really adaptable and follows the demand trends we have seen in the past year. Since ice cream sales can change a lot depending on the season, as for say more sales in the summer and less sales in the winter, using a moving average helped me better understand these seasonal ups and downs. It smoothed out any random demand change and gave me a clearer picture of what we can actually expect going forward in each month to come. Each of these three forecasting methods have their own benefits and strengths. Starting first with the moving average, this method is super helpful because it adapts to trends. It gives stable results by smoothing out any random increases and decreases in sales, which makes it easier to see the bigger picture. It is also useful for tracking seasonal patterns or overall demand changes over time. The naive forecasting method, which is the easiest one to use, it is quick, simple, and uses the last actual data point as the forecast. It doesn't overcomplicate things, which is nice when the market is pretty steady or when you just need a fast estimate without running a bunch of calculations for what year needed in those months. Lastly, the cumulative method is more about building a long-term view. It takes all the data to that point and averages it out. Because of that, it helps reduce the impact of short-term changes and gives you a smooth long-term idea of what you would need. It's a good option when you need to see the bigger picture and not get distracted by short-term demand changes. Overall, each method is strong in their own way, and there's going to be some weaknesses that we're going to talk about on the next slide. As I stated before, although they have strengths, these methods also come with weaknesses. Starting out with the moving average, even though it's a great spotting trend, it struggles where there's a sudden spike or drop in the demand that we need this ice cream for certain months. It reacts slowly to quick changes, and the jumps are unexpected. The forecast might not keep up. Also, seasonal shifts can also mess with this moving average. The naive message is super simple, but that can be a bad thing. It doesn't account for any trends or seasonal changes, which would make for very poor decision making in our end for ordering ice cream. And finally, the cumulative method, it tends to mash everything together so that it misses these sudden changes as well. It looks at all the data together, which is great for long term, but not good for when we need that quick reaction for those warmer months. During these busy times or our slower times, we may overorder or underorder. So while all these methods are very useful, you definitely have to make sure that we are watching which method is going to help us for the long run and which one stands out the most. While forecasting for the buckhorn, seasons are such a huge part for this ice cream stand because it is in Pennsylvania and we get crazy weather all the time. One day we can be 60 degrees, the next day we can be 40, or vice versa. So from June to September, these are typically tend to be our warmer months. So we're going to have a higher forecast in sales and a higher demand for ice cream. But from November to February, this is going to be our slower times, our worse weather, so we don't want to overorder this ice cream. But we also want to make sure that we're still having enough for those customers that are coming. So this is going to be for our adjusting forecast. So if we're going to run promotional offers and deals, we're going to have to make sure that we're accounting for those when we're forecasting for each of these months. Also, local events in the summer or winter can cause more traffic in and out of the stand. So we have to make sure that we're giving or taking a couple extra sales per each month so that we can forecast the right amount. Going along with the seasons, our location is a very big factor. We're in Summerhill, Pennsylvania, with a population of about 459 people. That can slightly change from in the summer when family comes back to visit or friends, or if there's an event that's 20 minutes away and to go back home, they have to come through. So in the summer months, we may be busier, we may be slower, depending on how many people are in here. 459 people in this area is not that many compared to a bigger city. We are also only 10 minutes from another ice cream stand. This other ice cream stand is called the Ranger and is in Sidman, Pennsylvania. They also have a miniature golf course, so we tend to try to pull more people towards ice cream just because they do have something that sets them different from us. We also have a drive-thru attached to our building, which helps us in the colder months because we tend to get revenue more because people don't have to get in and out of their cars. While forecasting for the buckhorn and going through the three methods, I had no change in my final forecast. After breaking down each method and picking from each month that I stated before, I was able to use all three methods to help project the amount of ice cream sold, give or take a few here and there. So I feel like I had a good balance of in between each method. And the projected sold per month in 2021 really helped my data for 2022 along with these methods. So I feel like I had a very good base to go off of and data to be balanced on. Along with that, my level of certainty for my 2022 predictions would be an 85 to 90%. I had a strong future data based off of my last year data. My seasonal times were higher than they were increasing in my forecasting, and my quarter months were declining in forecasting. I had three very reliable forecasting methods as we did their strengths and weaknesses. But I'm not 100% sure because there are going to be weather changes. There's going to be consumer preferences if they like our ice cream or they like someone else's better. And that competitor, the Ranger, 10 minutes away in Sidman, that's going to be a big factor too. But 85 to 90% certainty in the forecasting for the buckhorn is a great place to be at. if there's any questions in why I chose certain things for my forecasting for 2022, I would be very open to answering them, and I hope that this can help you learn and has helped the buckhorn grow in learning their forecasting. I have also attached some resources from where I found the population, the rangers page, the methods to help me figure out this forecasting, and weather related months for around the buckhorn area. So those are there for any convenience. So thank you.